Hello people, Cretaceous Breaks here, and today we're gonna see is how well these Neca Godzilla figures has aged up or hold up throughout the present day. We're gonna start from the first figure I own to the last one. So let's move them out of the way first. Now this is my very first Godzilla action figure I own. But this is the second Godzilla related thing I got. The first one was the very small set since I was very young, was the Godzilla Destruction City pack made by Bandai, basically like the 4-inch basic toy line where it's like just arm and leg move 360 thing, a bit like the Vinyls movie monster series, but it was smaller. So this is the second Godzilla I got in my young days, and for its time, it's quite good. But of course, age was not doing well, and all of the white, or I don't know what color was it originally, has already gone to yellowing over the years, and it has rubber parts, and the tail, unfortunately, actually got ripped inside the wire tail. So this part I had to remove because it's kind of jutting out right here, but I'm not sure if you can see the marking here. But somewhere right here, there was a huge tear of it, so I need to how to say, just to pull out the wire inside, since I want to fix this tail to be at least to be not broken, even though I kind of heard it kind of ironic that during the Godzilla vs Space Godzilla, the tip of his tail, I heard there were some small like cracks on around its tail that is flopping around a bit, but that's just coincidence. But there's as much I can bend right here, and the rest is just rubber. And unfortunately, when I was trying to pry out um, this hand joint here to see how it looks, and also I kind of want to experiment with other things. The joint inside here, where the stick goes on, unfortunately snapped. It's kind of my fault because I never kind of used a hair dryer, but that's because I was naive and young during that time, so I was stupid. And for its gold, for this time, it was around $20. It's pretty good, but the articulation is kind of lacking. But like what I mean, I think we all know that NECA figures are somewhat a budget-friendly Godzilla action figures, and it's not as posable as SH Monster Arts, but they're kind of close enough and to have some decent articulation so you can play around with. And those Neca Godzilla figures are the only ones I have, and the other two, they were pretty much just bootlegs, the 2014 and GMK, because during that time I didn't know that bootlegs were a thing, and it is so hard to see which one is the real or fake when it comes to like shopping, and they only show images of the authentic figure, but when you receive it, it turns out to be a bootleg, which really sucks, and it really unfortunate, because if you want to really find official Godzilla NECAs, they are very hard now, and they are basically now overpriced. I think around of a price of how higher toys did it, and all the joints right here to this day, they are very commonly very tight, like at the knee right here. You can see how much I am struggling to try to use all the force I can get. And of course, there are some that do look weirdly proportionate, where I think the feet is a little bit too small, and also the bottom jawline is a bit too long. But overall, for its time, it is pretty good for what it is. And this is one of the few Godzillas that at least gives like hand, some kind of hand finger articulation, even though it's like kind of one piece. So the second one right here was the 2014 Godzilla, and I think it's a bootleg because I don't know, I bought it online. It is with the rest of the Neca Godzilla bootlegs with the weird teeth. I don't know, some kind of molding thing that kind of makes it looks a bit soft. But I know that 2019 Neca Godzilla I have when I like few years ago was a bootleg because of how it is not only sculpted and also how it painted. This one right here was a little bit of a lightish blue tone when I first released. I don't know if you can see. Let me see. It was sort of like this kind of lightish blue dry brush around here, and I kind of painted over the black here. And this one, like this jaw right here, I kind of opened it a bit too wide until this thing unfortunately broke, so I had to use milliput to fix it. And this is how much the 2014 Neca Godzilla can open its mouth. And this one was I think this might be Neca's first Godzilla to ever produce. So during the 2014, it's very accurate for its time and for what it is. But the details for the spines is kind of lacking, which higher toys done it, and it looks nice. But the head is a bit controversial with the way they design it. But for me, I kind of don't mind it from the looks of it, because it is quite very small, and I'm not sure if the people who work at Higher Toys are talented enough to paint such small details or something. And the articulation is still very outdated. Like, you can move slightly to the side to side and can only move down a tiny bit, because they were focusing on giving a sculpt in like some kind of neutral idle pose, and then add joints here, which does tend to make it look so weird when you try to pose it, which I get what it is supposed to be, but it kind of ruins a little bit when you try to make it like an idle pose, and then you cut joints right here where you want to focus on a sculpt to hinder the articulation because of the sculpt is in the way. And as for the tail right here, the wire is very questionable because it's very hard to bend it to this day, and I can't seem to fix the tip of the tail. Hold up. Sorry. Almost about to... Wait. Sorry. Almost about to sneeze. But I guess it's all suddenly gone. So, for this one, I would say for its time, it's pretty good. But for holding up age, we already got the higher toys to make a 2014 Godzilla, and it's more poseable and a bit more detailed. And same with the Heisei Godzilla NECA I did, which is a 1994 specifically. Even though that other one was the higher toys made was the 1991, which is the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, but they're close enough. And this is the GMK Godzilla, which I got the atomic breath version because as a kid it looks nice, but over time growing, I kind of don't like the blue at the front now, because I realized that this is an action figure where it's one of those few Godzillas that came with a beam effect, and it only looks good at one angle, like one pose. And basically, like if for example, you turn around, it doesn't look quite right. You might as well like make it into a statue instead of an action figure would be the best to add the blues right here. But I get what the designer is going through for this one. But let's be honest, it looks quite nice for the GMK Godzilla. And while yes, people may not like the head and the snout because of the whole thing is designed to have a snarling face, but my guess theory is that the designers have the reference to the one scene where he was actually snarling his lips up during the when that I don't know that media lady actually screamed and then got all of a sudden hears her and then see the many people running. There's a scene where he was snarling, and even when he's not looking up at King Ghidorah, which I gotta say I really like its uniqueness and what they're trying to do, but the mouth jaw, it just doesn't look right. I think it's got to do with how they designed his jaw is a bit too close here, which I think it should have been up here. But I'm not really a toy designer, so I can't really say like how it's done. But and this one is one of those Godzillas that is very hunched over. Like this is like how much he does bend quite a lot, which yeah, for the movie he was quite hunched but not very much. Like you can't really pose him looking upwards because of course the sculpt design choice. And the neck right here is very tight, and I tried to push it down and it's still very tight, and this is as much I can try to get it to look down. Looking up is like kind of non-existent. As for the arms, they do tend to actually go up and down, and the waist is also can rotate a bit but not much, and you can't really crunch because of the sculpt, so your only best is just side to side. And this one right here, the leg, the thighs thing, is like can spread out a bit wide, and his toes right here I would say can bend up and down and pivot a little bit, but it's nowhere as each monstrous. This one also still has this like tight joint right here at the knee, and as for the base of the tail is pretty much the same 3 segment for its time. And the wire right here, I think like here snap because whenever I tried to pose its tail carefully with the wire, it all of a sudden like snap downwards or upwards. And one thing I don't like is how they make a pre-post tail that's is going upwards. So if you want to lay it flat right here, hold up. It does leave like this weird gap here, which is not really the best design. But hey, this is not like SH Monstrat artist. Not to sound offensive, I respect every artist who is what is trying to do as long as they're respectful and nice. For this one, the small base of the tail right here, I decided to cut a little bit right here so that I can move this one a bit more upwards. And unfortunately, due to the accidental cut that cut through this spine, unfortunately, because I don't know what happened. I was trying to cut it, it was slow, then all of a sudden it shifts to moving fast, which really sucks. But I guess you don't notice it when you're far behind. So I cut this very small base at the tail right here so I can make him look a bit more upwards. This one was like this, and now like with the tail base cut, I actually can make him look a bit more like straight upwards and a bit less hunch over. So yeah. So let's put them into neutral size comparisons with the other Godzilla figures. Yeah, my shelf is like very small, so there's barely enough space for any Godzillas here. So I'll try to make it as even as possible. So give me a second. So yeah, they're basically around the 6-inch-ish size. So here it is next to the Bandai Namco Godzilla action figure series, the 1991 Godzilla. And you can see the size difference, and basically I think this action figure, why do they just name Godzilla action figure and then not making like some kind of name like the Ultra Act figures, where they are not like articulated as each monster arts, but they do have enough nice details. So this one does feel a little bit like Ultra Act figures, while this one has like clicky joints, but Ultra Act doesn't have like this type of pre-post tail, and then you can move them around like this. And this one actually, and this two actually came with the beam effect, unlike an SH Monster Arts heat ray charging GMK Godzilla. And we got ourselves the Higher Toys 2021 Godzilla, the old version. And you can see how much the size difference and how Higher Toys details are a bit more and a bit crispier than the Neca ones. Some of them are like a bit on the soft side, you can't really feel the small scales. While Higher Toys do have like small scales around here that are a little bit soft, but some parts like right here and here are very noticeable. And we got ourselves, I should probably forgot to mention, I also got this metric Camphosaurus from the Hammer collection, where this one was like has this bendy wire tail in it. While I am also extremely careful, unfortunately one of the tail tip, where is it again? Hold up. Well, I think one of the tail tip at the top here had fortunately a bit ripped out, which is kind of sad, but hey, that's usually with wire tails. Over time they do tend to snap off. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. And we got ourselves the SH Monster Arts Godzilla -1. And you can see his sizing is almost the same as the Heisei, but a tiny bit taller, because yeah, let me get my measuring tape for measuring purpose. They are around like the 6.5 inches tall. So I would say they're pretty much the same size as usual SH Monster Arts that doesn't tend to upscale the figures. So overall, would I recommend if you can get these Neca Godzilla figures? Probably not, because I think now it's quite impossible to find the real ones, because these two are the bootlegs, while this one is official, and it may be a bit and it may be a very expensive to find due to the aftermarket prices. So getting it by today is a bit impossible, and I think if for its time it is pretty good. And does it live up to its day? And well, I would say both yes and no. Like, the thing about these old Neca Godzilla figures, you do have this bendy wire tail that do tends to rip off over time if you're not careful. And if I say yes, if you want like a budget sort of Godzilla figures, this is the ones, but just be aware like they are around the size, not size, around the price of a higher toys Godzilla, and they're a bit outdated. So I would say it is both yes and no for if I recommend anyone to get a Neca Godzilla figure. So yeah. Anyways, for more Cretaceous Breaks videos, just leave a like, comment, and thanks for watching.